A humanitarian act or a PR stunt on Christmas Day? Watch this video provided by China's embassy in Manila.
Thank you. No problem. No problem.
多给一点吃的，多给点吃的水，
多给点水吧。
就把一只箱给他得了。
对呀，要多给点水，不然万一时间长。
Thank you.
水呢？
水，多给点水。
Thank you.
Silence.
6条够不够？多拿，多拿。
Your help. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
According to China, rescuing people in distress has long been a moral virtue deeply rooted in Chinese tradition, which is why the Global Times accuses Filipinos who warn of a PR stunt of twisted logic, narrow-mindedness, shallowness. But this maritime security expert agrees with the Filipinos. He writes, "Rich coming from Beijing when we consider normalized forms of barbaric, inhumane actions PRC forces typically undertake against Filipino fishers since 2023. Now, thinking positively, is the Christmas Day Act a sign this region can expect humanitarian behavior from the Chinese Navy and Coast Guard in 2026? If so, this would be major Christmas tidings and a significant gift into the new year. Beijing has the power to usher in real peace and stability to our waterways. Will it take up the challenge? Hello and welcome to Taiwan Talks. I'm Khvat. To discuss this and more, I'm joined by Tony Hu, former US Department of Defense Senior Director for China, Taiwan and Mongolia, and Tsai Jung-hsiang, National Cheng University Political Science Professor. A very warm welcome back to the show, both of you. This incident occurred 71 nautical miles west of Silanguin Island, off the northwestern coast of the Philippines, within Manila's exclusive economic zone. So let me come to you first, Professor Tsai. What's your read on this humanitarian act?
Yeah, it's kind of like a nice gesture for China because they try to rescue a Philippine fisherman, right? But the thing is that it's a good gesture, it's a good deed, but it doesn't change. China has been bullying the Philippines since 1999, so it's been a while. So one good act doesn't change the whole nature of this kind of coercion, stuff like that. Yeah.
Tony, I mean, there was a sign on the fisherman's boat, and it had on the words "Help me." Now, apparently, according to the Filipinos, this was written when he could see he was being approached by this rigid-hulled boat from the Chinese Navy, and he was actually incredibly scared. Or was it simply, perhaps this crew, those people, wanted to be kind on Christmas Day?
I think it was a moment of kindness because normally at sea, when you see someone stranded, you would render assistance. And this is what it was. It was assistance. It was not really a rescue because the Philippine Coast Guard is the one who actually rescued the fishermen. So this is a kind act, but it's interesting how it took place so soon after the violent intimidation activities that happened, where they damaged ships and hurt Filipino fishermen.
As Tony said, on December 12th, around 20 fishing boats near Sabina Shoal, 75 nautical miles from the Philippine baseline, and they were hit with Chinese high-pressure water cannons, rammed, and had their anchors cut. Other Philippine vessels were confronted with dangerous blocking maneuvers by Chinese Coast Guard and Maritime militia vessels, leaving 3 fishermen injured and at least 2 boats damaged. The Philippines has described this act as barbaric, as well as illegal, coercive, aggressive, and deceptive, which is how the Philippines describes China's Grayzone warfare. Professor Tsai, tell us, why is it that Manila is so unhappy, but especially this time, towards these fishermen?
Yeah, but they try to do this kind of thing. They try to exhaust, intimidate, and normalize interference, especially in the futures of the South China Sea, especially Second Thomas Shoal or maybe Sabina Shoal or Scarborough Shoal. So it's a pattern for them to do this kind of thing because they claim it's their territory. They try to have a double-face strategy. On the one hand, they try to rescue, it's a humanitarian assistance. But on the other hand, no, they've been doing the terrible things to the Philippines. So no wonder the Philippines, they are unhappy about this kind of thing, because you are doing something differently. Yeah.
Right. And Tony, I mean, if we're being charitable, could it be that they realize that they overstepped the mark in essentially attacking or, blocking, harassing those 20 fishermen? And so this was an opportunity to manage that reputation. So is an indication that they know that they have a bad reputation that needs to be managed.
I think this event is a unplanned occurrence. They just found a single fisherman stranded. I don't think they will change any of their aggressive nature that's taking place in West Philippine Seas. So
you're not optimistic that this could mean a change to 2026?
No. I think this is a one single unplanned incident where they say, okay, this guy's stranded, let us give him some water so at least he doesn't die. But
I just want to ask you, Professor Tsai talked about, China still maintaining its sovereign rights, but it's interesting that Jay Tariella, who's the Philippine Coast Guard spokesperson, he says that by carrying out this act of kindness, actually, the PRC is respecting Philippine sovereign rights within the West Philippine Sea, which is their EEZ. Why is he saying that?
I wouldn't be so optimistic saying, oh, now China recognizes this is ours. I doubt very much so.
Right. I mean, he's getting at the fact that to fish in a country's EEZ, you would need the permission of that country. So I think this is what he's getting at, isn't it?
Well, the whole area is Philippines EEZ anyways. So the fact that Filipino boat is present is under the UNCLOS is legal. It's the Chinese who says, this is mine. I don't care what UNCLOS says. So I guess I wouldn't give Chinese so much credit as now they recognize our claim. I doubt very much.
Right. We mentioned that the video was released by the Chinese embassy in Manila. This should also tell us a lot. Now, it's interesting that in that post, it was a social media post, the embassy talked about the moral virtue of China. Given everything that we have seen in the West Philippine Sea, South China Sea, does this indicate, it's kind of a very clear indication of how sort of tone deaf, or, as many people have said, sort of this tin ear of China, of this just massive gap between reality and their rhetoric?
Yes. So the thing is that in terms of international politics, sometimes the strong do whatever they can, and the weak suffer what they must. But for the Philippines, they don't have any choice but to ally with the stronger partner, like US or maybe Japan, right? Because they have to counter the source of the danger.
However, having said that, around the same time as Sabina Shoal incident, Tony, the First Lady, Lisa Marcos, actually hosted the new Chinese ambassador in Manila, and that was days after President Marcos has stressed that both sides need to boost ties. So what message do you think is Manila sending?
I think ultimately, obviously, Philippines wants to have a peaceful resolution of the problem involving the West Philippine Sea, South China Sea area, and have some kind of get all the country to abide by the international law and not by China's claim, because China is moving toward the armed aspect of of resolution. So
it's sort of contrasting, isn't it? They say the door's open. We are open to diplomacy.
Exactly, and China feels there's no need to talk. This is all mine. So I think it's important to see that big difference and the aggressive nature of China's way.
Okay, now the Philippines has been allocated a record $3.5 billion in U.S. aid for its military modernization. It's part of the 2026 U.S. bipartisan defense bill called the National Defense Authorization Act. Of this, $2.5 billion is grants and loans to counter China's aggression in the Indo-Pacific. Now, key provisions include $500 million in annual grants for 5 years to 2030 to strengthen Manila's capabilities through hardware like the HIMARS, High Mobility Artillery System, along with new EDCA sites and training. This marks a significant strategic shift to position the Philippines as a cornerstone ally in regional security. Professor Tsai, for you, what were the key elements of the Philippines' provisions this year, and how significant were they?
Yeah, because for the United States, the Philippines is treated a frontline ally, especially in the South China Sea. So they try to provide a lot of resources, especially for alliance modernization, to prevent against China's provocative actions in the South China Sea.
Okay, and Tony, just in Trump's national security strategy, it singles out the South China Sea. It says that there is a security challenge, and that is the potential for any competitor to control the South China Sea, potentially to impose a toll over one of the world's most vital lanes of commerce, or worse, to close and reopen it at will. So U.S. interests and U.S. security, as it laid out here, very much tied in with what's happening in terms of the aggression and the challenges that China poses to the Philippines. How do you see, this NDAA, and especially the 5-year grants? What does that 5-year enable?
This is a very good indication of how the executive branch and the product from the executive branch, the national defense strategy, how it matches the legislative branch, which is NDAA, how it authorizes funding to support Philippines to make sure we strengthen their ability to keep that area open. And we talk about providing those long-range precision strike capability for Philippines to do what? To keep that sea lane open.
And you mean there like the Nemesis missile system?
Right, Nemesis, and also we have the Typhoon system that's already deployed during exercises. I suspect it will be there once the situation gets heightened. We will be deploying those systems there to make sure that China doesn't end up dominating the whole area.
Now to Taiwan. With just 3 days to go before the end of the year, China has announced live fire drills dubbed Exercise Justice Mission 2025 around Taiwan. The PLA has released a map and coordinates of 5 zones in a major air and sea joint combat exercise on Tuesday, Monday the 30th, from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. According to the PLA's Weibo page, the drills are a so-called stern warning against Taiwan independent separatist forces, and it is a legitimate and necessary action to safeguard China's sovereignty and national unity. The PLA, Army, Navy, Air Force and Rocket Force troops will practice, quote, sea-air combat readiness patrol, joint seizure of comprehensive superiority, blockade on key ports and areas, and all-dimensional deterrence outside the island chain. With vessels and aircraft approaching Taiwan from different directions, troops of different services engage in joint assaults to test their joint operations capabilities. Now, Taiwan's government condemned the drills as irresponsible provocations that undermine regional peace. A presidential office spokesperson urged China not to misjudge the situation and called on Beijing to immediately halt the exercise. Taiwan's military said it was on high alert and poised to carry out rapid response exercises, which would immediately mobilize troops in the event that China suddenly turns the drill into an attack. Is China, in its own words, speeding up war? On the other hand, how much value do these military drills hold for the PLA with no adversary playing along? And how are Taiwanese reacting? In terms of the information that we have from the PLA, in terms of these drills, what do you make? Do you think that this will be bigger than drills after Nancy Pelosi in 2022. I mean, we note that the rocket force is involved. And at that time, there were missiles that were fired over Taiwan and landed in Japanese and possibly the Philippines EEZ.
I think it'll be bigger because China wants to increase the pressure. But I think Taiwan and the whole world need to see this as it is. It is a fake blockade, okay? It doesn't really have a lot of true meaning because if it's a real blockade, it's an act of war. Okay, the whole world is not going to stand by and watch China conduct an act of war. So there'll be other sanctions and activity to break the blockade. So this is a fake blockade. Okay, what does it do? It intends to intimidate Taiwan, but in fact, it just creates a lot of inconveniences for travelers, for shippers. Okay.
So as in, it's more of a regional impact. Whilst they're trying to target Taiwan, what they're actually doing, because Taiwan is integrated in terms of shipping and...
That's absolutely. The international aviation routes fly over Taiwan to go to Japan from Hong Kong to Japan, for example. They all have to be rerouted. So a lot of inconveniences. And I think that's the key. I hope people do not get intimidated and by this act, because in reality, it wouldn't do a lot of good. But from a military point of view, I love this because it gives us an opportunity, United States and Taiwan, to collect on the weapon system performance. Okay, you never have a very cooperative enemy. When we need them to launch something so we can see it, they don't do it. But now they're going to do it. Hopefully, I think one of the reasons why they notify us in such short notice is to prevent intelligence collection, because otherwise we would have some spy ships already in place. But we will have collection assets in the air and maybe some submarines that are already in place and try to collect some of the performance data and accuracy data of their weapon system. So that's the positive side of this exercise. And I think it would be even better if the Taiwan people see it as it is and do not get intimidated.
Right. And Professor Tsai, you know, just being announced in the last couple of days of 2025, do you think that this was the forceful measures promised or threatened by Beijing after the $11 billion arms sale to Taiwan?
Yes, but it's a pre-planned exercise. It's not like just decided overnight. So I think it's very important because a couple of days ago we have Taipei-Shanghai Forum, but after that they try to intimidate Taiwan. So it's not good for some Taiwanese people to say, because you try to say we should have a dialogue with Beijing, but in the end you try to do this kind of coercive actions, right? So this is not good for people in Taiwan because they don't have any confidence for the Chinese behavior. We already have like a full military exercise during the present lie, okay? So it's a new normal. We have to get used to it, but the thing is that we have to get prepared. We need to get an excellent shape before the rainy day. Maybe it's just overcast, but we have to get prepared. And
Tony, Taiwan's premier has actually called on China to immediately stop those drills. He's also said that it's the responsibility of China, if it's going to carry out these live fire drills, to guarantee the safety of the boats, the planes around Taiwan. Now, there was something interesting in the PLA's Weibo account. It said all-dimensional deterrence. It says the exercise will include an all-dimensional deterrence outside the island chain. And I wanted to ask you whether this was linked to what was in the China military power report, which said that China has been practicing all elements of options, including strikes on US forces in the Pacific that could seriously disrupt them out to 2,000 nautical miles. Do you expect to see something like that in these exercises?
I don't expect them to do anything outside of the immediate closure area because if they do, they're supposed to pre-notify this area. We might have something that's striking this area. Now, China is trying to copy United States all-domain warfare, bringing in space and other elements. They're lacking in many areas, and their ability to reach out to actually disrupt U.S. operation is still in question, because in order to do that, you need to complete the kill chain, and there are many elements where China doesn't have that ability to complete the kill chain, and other elements is easily disrupted by current U.S. capabilities. So while we want to respect China's capability and making sure that we are ready for China in case they do reach out to 2,000 nautical miles, but if you look at the true situation of China's capability, they're not there yet, but they're getting there, they're getting better. But United States is also getting better with developing new things that will continue to ensure that China can complete the kill chain.
So, Professor Tsai, let's deal with the name. What's in the name? Exercise Justice Mission. This, as we're showing now, is a poster the PLA released titled Shields of Justice, Smashing Illusions. You can see there 2 golden shields displaying the PLA insignia together with the Great Wall of China. So are posters normal? Professor Tsai, does Beijing think that this is a movie?
Yeah, I think they try to claim it's a justice mission, right? But it's very ironic. It's like the bully playing the victim, okay? And they try to use attacks by justify in the name of justice mission. This is very ironic. But actually, for strategy, it's kind of like a gaslight strategy. They try to use these kind of drills to brittle the will of Taiwanese people. And they try to wear down Taiwanese people's confidence. And then finally, maybe Taiwanese people will throw in a towel to China. So I wouldn't say it's just an exercise. Maybe it's like a rehearsal. Do they have the capability to attack Taiwan? Maybe not yet. But the thing is that it's a psychological warfare as well. And they try to have some cognitive warfare as well. So Taiwan is like, we are like a David, right? David, because we are facing a Goliath. So we need to prepare slings and stones to strike back at the giant's Achilles heel right now, yes.
Tony, so very much sort of that shift that Professor talked about, away from the capability, which might have been joint sword, you know, and this now is justice mission. So legitimacy, like signaling the legitimacy of the CCP, of the PLA. What did you make of the Great Wall being in this poster? Actually,
I'm not sure. The appearance of Great Wall, usually it demonstrates how the Great Wall was intended to block out external forces. So that's the only thing I can think of. So I suspect the symbolism is to keep out foreign forces.
And Professor Tsai, China, as we know, they have this toolkit, this strategy of these massive drills around Taiwan. Taiwan, we know, is always on alert and also ready to respond. But what can Taiwan do about these drills? I mean, can it deter them?
Yeah, the thing is that we have to arm to the teeth. That's the thing. We have to raise the budget of defense, because there's a beer right now in the legislative yuan, because it's very important. We should pull our own weight. Otherwise, America, they cannot just come here to rescue you, because you are supposed to do something first. So this is a team effort, and we call extended deterrence. Okay, this is very serious. It's not like somebody say, oh, it's peaceful, everything is fine, we just talk to them, they're gonna reduce the tensions. No, that's not the case here.
Tony, so in terms of that raising the cost, Taiwan can do that by arming to the teeth. Also psychological resilience, basically to deny China its objectives on the psychological side. How about the US? Can the US do anything about these these drills?
In this case, U.S. is going to follow Taiwan's lead. Taiwan needs to lead, said, I am going to defend my sovereign airspace, sea space, and United States should step forward and say, yes, we support Taiwan's effort, and there should be no intrusion into Taiwan's sovereign airspace, sea space, to basically dispel China's claim that this is internal water, Taiwan Strait is internal water. Taiwan has sovereign airspace and sea space. So yeah, I think the United States has a role to play, but in this case, Taiwan needs to step up, say, this is what I will do, and the United States say, we support Taiwan.
Mm. And so what is your view if, you told me earlier that you believe that China could end up breaching that 12 nautical mile, which is the contiguous zone, isn't it? That's
certainly. Right now, China is pushing the envelope, and they will continue to push until Taiwan can't stand it anymore, okay? So right now, the real rights that Taiwan have is the 12 nautical mile, the sovereign airspace, sea space. Until then, the ADIZ and all that, the center line, really, it doesn't mean anything, okay? China can intrude into those areas, and Taiwan has no legal rights to shoot it down and kill it. So China might just one day cross over. Right now, they already cross over the center line and get into the ADIZ. One day, they just might cross into the 12-mile line and 12 nautical mile line and see what Taiwan would do. They might go in and out and see if Taiwan would respond. And I think it's important to Taiwan clearly state that it's willing to respond and it's going to shoot at it. And so that China knows this is the absolute red line that Taiwan will not allow you to cross.
Thank you so much, Tony Hu and Joseph Tsai, for joining Taiwan Talks today. If you liked our show, please search for us on YouTube, give us a thumbs up and hit subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching our show today. Stay safe and see you next time.